Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Shravan, for putting this together, and thanks to TIFR and ICTS for hosting such a lovely workshop. I thank you for also accommodating this slot. I guess you have to break the morning session to kind of reschedule things for this session. So thank you for that. Also, it's great to be part of this gathering. What I thought we will do over the next few minutes is to give you a broad overview of what Microsoft Research, or MSR as we call ourselves, is all about. I
Hi,
saw some very
Satish.
Yeah. So what we will do, I saw some familiar faces in the morning, and but I thought it'll be useful for those who are not familiar with MSR to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So I'll kind of quickly run through a couple of slides, and then we can take it from there, right? So we've been in India for about now 16 years. The lab is based in Bangalore. So if any of you are in the central Bangalore area, please feel to drop in. People are slowly now coming back to the physical office, so the place is becoming alive again. These are the broad themes of our work. We broadly span these five different areas in what we do at the lab. Uh, First, a group that works on really the theoretical aspects, and I think there are a lot of overlaps with the computer science folks in TIFR in the algorithms space, and I think there are some interesting collaborations that are already on in that space. We also do, of course, you cannot run a computer science lab without using the word ML and AI. So we have people who work on the applied side of things, both from the ML side as well as in the systems and networking side. We have a bunch of people who do what is called a system design, the plumbing required for these technologies, which includes programming languages and things like that. And the last bullet at the bottom is an interesting one. We also have kind of a very focused initiative in the lab, which looks at interventions that technologies can make for broad societal impact, and we call that technology for empowerment. And we've had a strong legacy of projects that will hopefully speak to this kind of work that we do, which is quite unique even within the MSR universe at Microsoft. It's just that India being where it is and the lab situated here, there are interesting opportunities for our folks to look at these kind of problems which go beyond the realm of traditional computer science. The circle on the right side actually is probably more relevant to this forum. This is the broad kind of impact areas that MSR India measures ourselves on. Of course, the blue one is obvious for industrial research lab. We have to look at what we give back to the company and justify our salaries, which we hopefully do usefully. But the other two ones are what I think will be interesting to this audience. We do engage with communities directly. So some of our projects which don't have a direct tie to Microsoft, those projects we actually get out to the target communities that these projects are for, and we actually engage as a lab with external communities and partners, which include, of course, institutions like TIFR and the other academic institutions here, but through them also with startups and other nonprofits in this space. And the green bullet is really what this I think is a unique aspect of MSR, in the sense that since inception we've had this strong legacy of what we call as advancing science. So most of the effort that goes on in the lab, the output is published openly in peer-reviewed forums like conferences and journals, and that's something that we will continue to do, which opens up possibilities for interdisciplinary collaborations like these. This is the broad approach we take to how we look at our research within the lab. The figure on the left, the axes basically represent the time horizon of our projects. So typically, as a research lab, we have projects spanning both short-term, deterministic kind of efforts, which are done in close collaboration with product groups. That's more the classic model of a research lab. But we also really have a lot of work going on where we look at open problems which are long-standing, which takes a lot of time and effort to really take a crack at, irrespective of whether we are able to do that or not. So I think that's what we think gives us our mojo in terms of being truly open in terms of how we look at research. And so it's, I think, a healthy combination of both fundamental research as well as the applied domains that we span, our research efforts across. What I think supports this kind of approach is our culture. We have a fairly bottoms-up culture in the lab. While we are, working with product groups internally, we think that's not the only model for us. We have a very strong academic DNA, if I may say so. So we do publish openly, as I said before. Many of our folks in the lab co-teach courses at academic institutions, and we have, as people in TIFR also know, collaborations with academic institutes. The idea is to basically take big bets and not look at things from an incremental nature. So from that perspective, the kind of problems that are being talked about in this forum and gathering are something that really are exciting for us, and we hope to look forward to continue working on those with a bunch of you. And I think underpinning all this is what we call as our people superpower. We really believe the talent within our lab is unique, and we will continue to basically encourage our staff to look at problems, interesting problems, and look at work which spans not just the classic CS realm, but also interdisciplinary domains and forums with collaborations enabled as part of these kind of initiatives. So with that, I will stop. I think we are running out of time also. So we are really excited about this. And again, thanks to TIFR and specifically Shravan for driving this whole endeavor. I think we are really excited about what can come out of this, and are looking really forward to what some very productive engagements and outcomes. And unfortunately, again, apologies for not being there in person. I would have loved to meet old friends and also get to know a whole lot of new people. But circumstances prevented me from being there today. But I look forward to being part of this whole effort, and wish the whole group the very best from an MSR perspective. So thank you.
Thank you, Satish. Does anyone have any questions, or we? One question.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a great talk. If Shravan will permit, I'm going to ask this question, but you can shut me up, Shravan, which is Shravan has come up with this very nice and exciting model for engagement with industry, which I think he has discussed with you. But I just thought, in terms of your feedback, would you have any comments on how we could set it up so it might be more attractive to you? Just any comments on this line. Is that okay, Shravan?
No, great question. I'll kind of overrule Shravan and answer a question before he kind of weighs in on it. But yeah, I think no question is every question is a great question. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Sandeep Trivedi. Yeah, you can call me Sandeep.
Yeah, hi Sandeep. Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, so I think it's a great start, but what we typically find from our experience, at least in doing similar things, although we've not done something of this scale before in the lab here, but from the collaboration that we've done both with institutes like TIFR and the other institutes that we work with, I think the big learning for us has been that while there is great momentum sometimes at the institution level, what really makes the difference between success and kind of things not going up to scale is really the connection between the people who work together on these collaborations. So I think alignment of research interests, alignment of the problems that excite sets of people who are working on these problems, I think that's the crux of that. And that's what we've tried to imbibe in our journey in MSR, where we really let our research staff get excited and interested in these problems. And I think once that's established, I think things really move very well from there. So from the list of problems that have been identified for this particular endeavor, I think they look very interesting. Already there seems to be interest from folks in the lab on some of these problems. So I think that will be a good start. And we will make sure we put in the necessary resources from our end and look at what's possible that we can make happen to get this into the right direction. Yeah, I don't know whether that answers your question at all, but I think I don't know whether there's a clear answer to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I had another question. Hi Satish, Uma here.
Hi Uma, good to see you in the morning.
I'm sorry, I don't know about this, but have those areas of interest already been shared with MSR, or is that something which is?
I think there's a document that I think is probably early stages, but I think it also lists some of the things that I think were reflected also in the talks today. So there is I don't know whether that's kind of cast in stone, or I'm sure not. And there is probably potential to add more issues there. But but we are happy to look at what makes sense as part of both this effort as well as really alignment for our interest in the lab. So, for example, your Tiger stuff is something that has always been of interest to us, and I think we will take that also forward as part of this.
Okay, thanks. Just checking on it. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. If nothing else, I guess we switch to thanks again, Satish and Sriharsh. You want to?
Thank you.